Good morning. Welcome back to my channel on this, what is a very dreary day outside, but I am going to work on a project and see how far I can get. I pulled this out yesterday, but we'll see how it goes. So I recently did actually locate quite a handful of actual vintage patterns that I'm really excited about. Most of them I think are from the 50s, but I think that there are a couple of different eras before and after that thrown in. It's not a drastic amount, but it is a few, and I'm really excited about it. And this one is the one I settled on for this project, and it is Vogue 5259. And I'm losing my voice. Sorry. Not like actually losing it, but pollen is... Whew. And so it is this one. I haven't opened it yet, and but it it does appear that it's been used. And this is size 12, bust 32, hip 34, and I am not size 12, bust 32, hip 34. I am a lot larger than that. However, I don't mind attempting to grade a pattern. The fabric that I want to use for this, and I didn't even look, it is just cotton, but we're going to give it a try because this is what I want to use. So this fabric here I got sometime last year, and one thing about thrifting fabric, at least around here for me, is it's really difficult to find the brighter colors. There's a lot of duller colors for some reason, and I was super excited to find this because brighter colors look a lot better on me, and I love them, and they just make me very happy. This particular cut is obviously a lot. I don't know if it's easy to tell, but I believe there's 11 yards of it, and they had an $8 price tag on it, which I've already cut off because I've already pre-washed this. So $8 was quite worth 11 yards of this, and that will be plenty for more than one project. But I absolutely love this. My daughter absolutely loves this too, so there's a chance I'm going to also be making something for her out of this. And yeah, it's just so pretty. I'm really excited. So the first thing is I need to get all of these out, verify that all the pieces are here, and start tracing so that I can work on grading up. Yes, we have all of the pattern pieces, all 15 of them. That's a lot of pattern pieces for a dress, in my opinion. Wow. They're all in really good shape. What I think is super cool is clearly the previous owner made some alterations, and they had penned their own additions to the pattern, or they had changed it in some way to the two bodice pieces. So it's pretty cool that I have this, and you better bet you I'm gonna also iron this paper out and reuse it because that's good paper. Another thing of note is, wow, so patterns these days, anybody that sews knows this, usually come with like 5 pages of instructions these days. Including the reproduction vintage patterns that I've used previously on this channel. This one, you get 1 page. That's it. You have this page with the general sewing instructions, the layout for the pieces on the fabric, I believe, or at least, no, that's not even, yes, that's on the bottom, and then just giving you where the pieces are, and then you get 1 page for the whole dress. So that is fantastically a save of paper, I will say. That doesn't mean that these illustrations are not going to be helpful. It's just going to be a little bit different. One thing I'm already noticing that I need to be super careful about is the instructions want to tear where they've been folded. So I need to be very, very careful with those. And I mean, it's in relatively good shape. I am curious as to where this, I wonder if I can find the date. Okay, so this one's not 50s, this one's 60s. So very, very early 60s, 1961. So I'm sure that someone probably that knows vintage patterns, and if they watch this would have been like, yeah, that's not 50s. Anyway, I'm still learning. I just grab the patterns that I want based off of the silhouette that I want. So anyway, 1961, cool. Anyway, another thing that I wanted to say is I noticed it had the bucket pocket. I don't know if that's that is probably not the correct terminology for that, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. It's just not the side pocket that I'm used to in dresses. It's this. So when I first pulled it out, I was like, I was kind of worried that I'd missed something because I don't like the look usually of the big pocket on a dress. But this does appear to be a hidden pocket. They just have it the way because of where it sits on the skirt. It's this shape and it sits inside of it. So we'll see how this goes. I need to press all these out very carefully. I had to turn my iron way, way, way down. It got a lot hotter than I realized, and with the tissue being this old, I do not want to singe the paper. So I'm now waiting for it to cool down slightly. And yeah, but this is really cool. Okay. I have just finished the first mock-up, and I'm going to say I'm pleasantly shocked. I am not this size, but I did the 5/8 inch seam allowance that it recommended, and I mean, the yoke is good. I don't need to do anything to that. That is perfectly fine. I did add a 1/2 inch on either side of the inner sleeve seam, and I need to add just a tiny bit more. So I think I'm going to extend that to 3/4 inch on, I'm holding it together because it's not zipped in the back because there's no zipper. On these underarm seams. The other thing is when I was transferring them to the actual paper, I did go ahead and shorten the waist an inch because I always have, well, I figured out I just need to do that. I have a shorter waist, and so I just went ahead and did that. But these are the size 12 that the pattern stated. The only thing I did to the bodice was remove that inch at the lengthen and shorten line. Is it too small? Yes, it's too small. However, not nearly as too small as I thought it was going to be. So the waist shortening that I did seems to be perfect. I'm going to add the 3/4 inch to the front and back underarm seam. I am going to add a 1/2 inch for sure to the center front and the center back, because you know this is gathered, and so that'll just mean that this gets to be gathered up a little bit more. I'm gonna go ahead and add it, and I'm gonna do a second mock-up because I want to make sure that this is good, and I probably won't come back up here for the mock-up. I'll probably just say when I'm done. Don't you love my fossil fabric? It was in a bin of thrift store fabric, and I have no clue what I'm going to do with the rest of this. I did make matching aprons for me and my boys with this, and I put a brown ruffle on mine and then embroidered some dinosaur skeletons on the pockets for them, and obviously didn't put ruffles on theirs. But other than that, I don't know what else I'm going to do with fossil fabric. So it's making a great mock-up because it is almost the same cotton. It's a little bit thicker, but almost the same cotton weight is what I'm actually going to use. I am impressed. Okay. Mock-up 2. All right, it is quite a few days later, and I am running out of time to get this done before Easter. We'll see if it happens. I'm not gonna overly stress about it. I really would like to wear it Easter Sunday with my family. We'll probably have a family picture done. We'll see. It is Monday. Easter is obviously on Sunday. Okay, so I have cut everything out. I wanted to come in here and get that done while I was drinking my coffee this morning. But I'm going to stop and go eat, and then I will see about beginning the construction. I started with marking out the darts. There's just one on either side of the front, and sewing those up, and this took a relatively short amount of time. Again, this cotton was extremely easy to work with, so there were parts of this where I got into it and it just kind of flew through. Once that was done, and I also ran the gathering stitches along the top of the front backs and front to go under the yoke, I sewed the yokes together at the side seams for the inside and outside of the garment, and then sewed them together as I am showing right here, and clipped the curves, turned them right side out, pressed them down, and I don't remember if this is where I top stitched around the collar or if I did that later, but there is top stitching around the collar. So, and then once these were put together, then I gathered up the bodice front and back to match the width of these pieces for the front and the back, and then sewed them down, and then sewed the yoke down. Okay, I got to a stop point on the top. The sleeves are in. I'm going to be honest, I don't mind putting in sleeves. I know a lot of people really don't like them, but I don't mind them. But they are very fiddly to film, and so I didn't. And that's the inside, where the yoke comes down and hides all those raw edges up in there. And then the other ones I just serged. I had some gray thread in the serger, and that worked just fine because I didn't feel like changing the serger thread. So that is all on the top for now until the skirt goes on, because you have to wait till the skirt's on to put the zipper in. So I'm gonna put this aside, and we're going to figure out the skirt. So what I have figured out so far is this is the skirt front yoke right here, and that's the top of it. This is the bottom of it apparently, and the two of the pockets go right sides together. Here I need to go baste them down here, and I'll move the camera over there. And then I did find my lace, and I went ahead and basted it. But I'm going to do it differently, as in on the pattern it shows that the two bits of lace face each other, and that's just on this band. What I'm going to do is, this is basted down with the right side of the lace facing up, and this line is with the right side down. And then once I sew this to the other band, I'm going to have that go down on top of it, of the fabric under it. I hope that makes sense. So because the lace I wanted is wider than I wanted it to be on the same band, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go take this over and sew the pockets down here, 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 and here. And then it'll be putting the right sides together here and sewing that together, and I'm sure I'll be doing that with the back yoke and the back band as well. So let me show you where I have it here. This is the skirt front, and that is where the pockets are. So that's nice. They're nicely hidden. I like that a lot. And then the back is identical, other than it doesn't have pockets, and there's the slit in the back, center back, where the zipper is going to go. I think that turned out so pretty. Alright, so the next thing is to sew the front and back panels together, which I will serge those edges, and then run a gathering stitch across the entirety of the top to attach it to the bodice. The skirt is on, and I've top stitched it down. There we go. You can see it's on there. So the next thing is the zipper, and I'm gonna wait and do the hem after I get the zipper on. That way I make sure that it is sitting how I need it to sit and figure out the length I want to hem it to at that point. So I'm gonna go get the zipper, because that's the one thing I haven't done yet, is actually finding the zipper. One thing that's interesting that I want to note about the pattern is, so I combined two of the different views, but then I figured out that if you did one of the other views, that it didn't have the pockets, and with the lace, if you put the lace on, then they took the pockets out, and I was like, no, I still need the pockets. So I still have my pockets. I put them in there. It's just interesting that that was done. So this is so pretty. This fabric is so pretty. Okay. Oh, and I serged the zipper edge just before I sewed the skirt on, that way, because this edge was already serged, so I wanted to make sure that this one was also finished. And then I'm gonna go press this under and figure out how I want to do the zipper. For the zipper, I sewed the seam closed with long stitches and then basted the zipper down and then ripped it all out after the zipper was sewn in, and it came out really, really well. Okay, it is like 2 days later, I think. It's been a few days since I tackled it, since the last time, and I'm going to do some hand tacking while I am giving the update. So I tried to show it, but I did not take the zipper all the way up to the top of the bodice yoke. I didn't have a zipper long enough that was black, and I wasn't going to use a different color zipper. So I problem solved for a little while and decided I wanted to do just a partial zipper anyway. I actually like that better. And then just stitch it down like I just showed up to the top, where I made a little tiny loop out of fabric, and I'm going to sew a button on the other side and just have a little bit of an opening back there above the zipper. And I think that looks really good, and it's a lot easier for me on the zipper to get it up. I have a difficult time getting the zipper up on my back all the way up to my neck, and yeah, so this is going to be a lot easier. Currently I'm tacking the inside seam down right where I put the button loop, and I'll show what I'm talking about, just to make sure that the ends of the loop I made stay where I want them. So this is the inside of the seam currently. It got sewed down here when I sewed this seam down, but then I wrapped the ends up under there, and now I just tacked that down. So that's what I was doing. So that looks really good, I think. So I've got to go sew the button on, and really pleased with the zipper. It did get slightly off at the waistband, but the fabric is so dark and busy. And I think I'm gonna try to make the belt. I'm running out of time, really running out of time, but I'm gonna try to make the belt. It's a tiny bit looser up under the bust than I was going for, but that's fine, because that means I won't feel so tight in it, but I do want the belt to pull it in just a tiny bit so it doesn't look like a poof. The other thing I need to do besides the button is do the hem, and then the dress itself is done. Now this, I probably could have saved myself a lot, because I tried it on and oh my gosh, it's way longer than I wanted. So I'm going to iron it up about 1 inch this way, and then 3 inches up, and have a 3-inch hem, and I will just leave the seam there and stitch down. So I've got a lot of pressing to do, and I want to make sure that that's even all the way around. But that should be really easy and fast. Okay, we have a completed dress. The hem looks so good. I like the wide hem. And yeah. So I will do a try on later. I'm gonna go get some work done that I need to get done, and then hopefully I can work on the belt, and I'd like to do a try on reveal, I guess, when I finish the belt. But I'm really, really happy with this. It's so pretty. Good morning. Yet another morning later. I did get my yard work done, but I have more to do. I'm gonna finish this belt, and then I have to go start that, but I don't think this is gonna take me very long. So I cut out 2 strips that are that long. Let's see here. That is 44 inches long, and that gives me room to go around my waist and a little bit of extra. And then I interfaced the center of both of them. I didn't interface the whole thing because I don't want that much in the seam. And then for the outside piece, basically it was folded like a bias strip, it's interfaced completely, so it's very thick, but this will be, you know, where the belt goes in at the end. So I think it's gonna go that way. Anyway, one of these ways to hold it. And then I found the belt buckle I was going to use, so that determined the width of the belt because I have to work with what I've got. So this, it doesn't have a, whatever that center thing is called for normal belts. So what I'm going to do is just wrap the end around it and sew it down in there. And then where I want the point of the belt to lay after it goes through this loop, I'm going to sew a hook and bar to keep it. So that should work. That's the plan. I got them pressed and interfaced. Now I just need to put these right sides together and sew them down. I've got the iron heating up. Flip it. Again, this shouldn't take too long. So I'm going to go probably not sew this whole thing together. I'll probably do like maybe halfway down on one side and then come around down all the way on the other, just to make it easier to flip. And this fabric is really easy to work with and it's not all shifty, so it will be fine. And I'm going to go top stitch both sides anyway, and that's how I'll close it up. So that's the plan. Once I had sewed around the belt like I described in the previous clip, I just clipped the tip where it angles up into a point. That way it would lay flat when I turned it right side out. Used my tube turners here, turned it right side out, and then pressed it all the way down. One thing I did not mention in any of the clips that I left in here is that when I came to the loop on the belt where the end of the belt is going to go through, the decorative belt loop, I guess, I skipped over that with the sewing machine when I was going up and top stitching this down, which if you really pay attention, I did leave that part of me actually sewing it in there, but I didn't explain that I was jumping over that belt loop. I just didn't want the top stitching on top of the belt loop. It was going to make it too small for the belt to go through. So after I finished all the rest of it, I hand stitched that part of the seam closed. That way I didn't have to top stitch over the belt loop. I hope that makes sense. But it worked really well and I'm really pleased. And this pattern was amazing. So if anybody watching this ever finds this pattern and has the opportunity to use it, it's wonderful. Okay, a quick little wrap up. I absolutely love the dress. It's very comfortable, it's very light, it's very breathable, which makes me really happy. A couple of things that I will do is I am going to eventually go put a little tiny snap at the center in each of the pockets, just because with the lace on there, it sticks out just a little bit more than I would like it to, and a little snap will make it completely accessible while still, when I'm just walking around, not be gaping open. The other thing is that I did with the back, that's what I'm trying to say, with the button, I really love that. I didn't actually address it yet, but I didn't actually have a zipper long enough for it to go all the way to the neck, but I actually really don't like zippers that go all the way up, and so I just sewed it down above the zipper and added that little button loop, and I absolutely love it. It's just a slightly little personalized thing with this. Other than that, I really didn't change the pattern much other than upsizing it a little bit. I think the original pattern had the sleeves being hemmed just a little bit shorter, but I kind of like them this length, and I love it. And I mean, I completely understand the hype around actual vintage patterns, because this was so much better of a pattern to work with. Again, for my channel, there's probably still going to be a lot of the reprints that I use just because that's what I have access to, but I did actually find a nice little handful of vintage patterns. I left a lot behind in the places that I found these, because I wasn't just grabbing them to grab them. I actually looked through and found the ones that I really felt like that I would use, and so I have a few more. This one was just one of them, and I'm really excited about it. And even with a little bit of my insecurity that I have going on right now with my body, I feel like this is very flattering. It's very pretty. I love the fabric. It's perfect for Easter, and I'm so excited. It's so pretty and so very comfortable, which is what I want. And the belt has adjustability, so and it's actually a little bit looser, which I love, because that means I've got size fluctuation either up or down just a little bit, and it still looks really good. So this was a perfect pattern for this, and thanks for joining me for this. I hope that I'll have more time, but we are rounding the end of the school year, and then my kids will be home for the summer, so I honestly just don't know what I'll have time for and what I'll have the mental space for. But as always, to all of those who have been around and keep watching and commenting, I love responding, and thank you for joining me, and thank you for watching. And if you want to see more sewing adventures in the future, even if they're very sparse, I would love for you to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one, whenever that may be.